This is the video you've been waiting for since your first match in Pokemon Unite. No more battles where opponents bash your head in. No more clicking through menus hoping to find some ES coins for your next Pokemon Unite license. I present to you the ultimate Pokemon Unite beginner's guide to Master Rank. And to show you that I'm serious, here's a mega tip for more effective fighting right at the start. In the settings, you should definitely change your control settings from basic to advanced controls. What does this do? Originally, you simply use the A button to attack wild Pokemon and enemy players alike. In the heat of the battle, it can happen that you target the A-pump instead of the opponent at exactly the wrong moment and thus lose a potential chance to defeat the opponent. That's over now, because with the advanced controls, you can attack wild Pokemon with B and enemy Pokemon with A, and thus have more control over what happens in the stage. Try it out, you can thank me later, or immediately with a like and subscribe. Because where this tip comes from, there are a bunch more. My name's Kay, and with this as a lead, we start directly into the first part of the video. What is Pokemon Unite actually? Maybe you're one of the players who accidentally spied a new free Pokemon game in the Nintendo eShop and in full expectation of the RPG parts, immediately downloaded it and already noticed in the tutorial that different rules apply here. If you already know what it's about, at the bottom of the video, you'll find time markers where you can jump to the parts you're interested in on demand. The video is packed with all sorts of interesting information, so definitely recommend you to watch it all. Anyway, Pokemon Unite is a MOBA published by Tencent, which means multiplayer online battle arena game. They are also owner of League of Legends, a perhaps not so unknown game from the same genre. In a MOBA, in the case of Pokemon Unite, 5 players fight against 5 opponents, trying not to only pick up the most points, but also to sink them into the opponent's goals. You have the choice between Pokemon from all generations, colorfully mixed through the bank. Whether it's a classic and mascot of the brand Pikachu, or rather cheeky ghosts like Gengar, or even wild rascals like Machamp, there's something for everyone. Currently, there are just over 20 Pokemon that you can play, and recently there was already the first update with a new edition. You see, there is a lot of content coming our way. You can take on different roles and fight for victory on the respective lanes of the map. The special thing about MOBAs, you level your trainer permanently, but the Pokemon themselves always start with level 1 in the stage and you have the possibility to level them up and always choose different moves. This gives you a certain tactical option where you can adapt to the situation and your build. More about the Pokemon, the roles, attacks and subtleties we will see in the course of the video and also in separate guide videos on the channel, so subscribing is definitely worth it. Finally, the best part, Pokemon Unite is completely free to play, sprinkled with classic microtransactions here and there. Of course, you can't buy your way to the top completely, most of the items for real money are cosmetic, except for one area, more on that later. And the rest of the stuff, like new Pokemon or upgrades, can be unlocked just by playing. Enough about the general part, now let's look at the core of the game, the Pokemon. As already mentioned, there are currently more than 20 Pokemon that you can send into battle. They differ not only in their moveset, but also in their defined role. There are 5 categories. First, there are the all-rounders, Pokemon that are equally well afflicted in offensive and defensive nature and find a good balance here. Next, there are the attackers, Pokemon that focus on dealing damage and have to sacrifice survivability. In contrast, we have the defenders, Pokemon with their large HP pools and defensive abilities are real rocks in the surf, and convinced with less offensive but good defensive abilities. For fast points collecting, there are the speedsters. They often have moves in their repertoire that help them move quickly across the map and thus often support the others in winning a fight. And last but not least, there is the supporter role. These Pokemon are especially suited to keep the team alive with healing and support abilities and to strengthen them in battle against other Pokemon. You see, a very well mixed selection of roles you can take, matching your favorite playstyle. In the movement and attack section, we will go into detail about the respective moves that are available to you in a match. In principle, however, the Pokemon can be divided into 2 categories. On the one hand, the melee attacker, and on the other hand, the range fighter. The former are masters in close combat and can use their full potential, and the latter are professionals in inflicting damage at a distance. Of course, these classes are also available as backup in the supporter role. So much for the classification of the Pokemon. But how can we expand our roster and get all of them into our team according to the theme Gotta Catch 'em All? This works in Pokemon Unite with the help of so-called Unite licenses, with which you can use the Pokemon in any game mode. So that everyone can also fight with Pokemon that are not in their possession, there is a free rotation where different Pokemon are made available for free each week, with which you can let off steam in the stage. Important here, this does not apply to the ranked game mode. Here you must really have the Pokemon in your possession. Luckily, Pokemon Unite gives you a few ways to get free Pokemon for your team. The easiest one is your first Unite license. You'll get it right after the intro to the game, and here you have the choice between 5 different Pokemon. Here you can freely choose which Pokemon is interesting for you or which one you would like to play. A small note here from my side: Charizard is included as an all-rounder, and also the only all-rounder you can get for free. So if you haven't chosen a Pokemon yet, because you just started, it definitely pays off. Except for support, you will get the same Pokemon from all other roles in the course of the first rewards. Another good option are events and challenges. Currently, for example, there's the 7-day beginner challenge, where you unlock new tasks every day, where you can grace not only currencies, but also some fashion items, and of course a Pokemon Unite license. On day 7 there is a Crustle on the house. Great thing. As of today, there is also a 14-day welcome event, where you can get items and 3 licenses for Alolan Ninetales, Cinderace and Greninja. And if that wasn't enough, if you log in until the end of August 2021, you will also get a Zeraora for free. For this you have to press X in the main menu to open the side menu. From there you can look into your mailbox, and there should be a mail with the event Pokemon Zeraora in it. After you have scored the storm of free licenses, we unfortunately hit the hard and cold ground of reality. Pokemon cost money. Either EOS coins, which you can get through level ups, missions, events, etc., or EOS gems, the real money currency of Pokemon Unite. Here the Pokemon range from 6,000 to currently 10,000 coins, so it's a pretty decent amount. In the section of currencies, I'll go into more detail about getting and collecting them. But now we know how to get our loyal partners in the game. Finally, I would like to give you a tip. You can try out any Pokemon in the practice area without having bought it. You just have to go to the overview of Pokemon, select the desired partner with A, and in the appearing menu, you can enter the practice area. It is also possible via the side menu, just that you know. With our beloved Pokemon in tow, we can now venture into the match search menu. There are 3 different variants that we can choose from in Pokemon Unite: a standard match, a ranked one, and a quick battle. The first one is available from the beginning. Ranked matches are unlocked with trainer level 6 and quick battles with trainer level 8. In the standard match, we play a 5 vs 5 match on the map Remote Stadium with a time limit of 10 minutes. Here there is no ranking, and we play, so to speak, just for fun against another 5 opponents and try to destroy the opponent's goals and collect the most points until the end of the game. As previously mentioned, you can also select Pokemon here that are currently available in free rotation. The Remote Stadium map offers a total of 5 goals on each side, including wild Pokemon and 3 boss opponents: Rotom, Dreadnought and Zapdos, which all give different bonus buffs throughout the match. There's a section called Rules of the Game. Here we then look in detail at the respective mechanics and how we can use them in our favor. In ranked mode, just like in a standard match, we play on the 5 vs 5 map Remote Stadium, with the difference that we get points depending on whether we win or lose and can move up or down in rank. With this, we also bring a competitive track into Pokemon Unite's fighting action. The well-known wooden class is called Beginner class, followed by Great, Expert, Veteran, Ultra and finally the Master rank. Except for the latter, there are several levels in a rank before you can advance to the next one. In the beginner one there are 3, in the grade 4, and from then on always 5 levels up to the Master rank. Here there is only the one ultimate ranking. And you know what? The guide prepares you perfectly for your way into this league. Winning and playing well will earn you points to move up in rank. But watch out! If you lose more often and the yellow crystals in your ranking are used up or fall below 0, then you will drop down a rank again. All good things come in threes, and that's why there is also a third mode, Quick Battle, in which you can compete with your fellow players. Here, there are once again a whole 3 different maps that are either 3 vs 3 or 4 vs 4, based on the available map. That's right, daily stadiums rotate through here, and there are a little different rules than the main mode. The 3 maps are called Mars Stadium, Oroma Park and Shivra City. There are the following differences in the mentioned order in the maps. Mars Stadium plays exactly like Remote Stadium, only that you have, as in the other maps, only 5 minutes with a slightly different map layout, and thus you level not only faster, your moves distribute thereby also more damage, and the whole gameplay runs in turbo mode. In Oroma Park, there are no team-based goals, and every player can sink his points in every goal. Once this is done, all points scored by the respective team members are doubled for a certain amount of time, if they score into the same goal. Quick tip here: if you only have a few points and your teammate has a big amount, be sure to score your amount so that your partner's points are doubled. It really pays off. There are also dash panels. These automatically move you in one direction and give you a speed boost as soon as you stand on them. Finally, there is Shivra City. Here you get all the points from your opponent after an enemy KO. As soon as Avalok, the boss Pokemon in the middle of the map, is defeated, the whole team that beat it gets an ice shield. As a final bonus, there is a movement speed bonus as soon as you reach the main battle area. All in the name of a fast match. You see, quick battles live up to their name, and here you get the concentrated power of Pokemon Unite presented in short 5-minute bites. And at least one match a day pays off, because so you can dust off 50 AOS tickets in the daily missions. Now we know everything about Pokemon Unite in general, the Pokemon including the roles, and how we can get them in which modes we can compete with them. But now we're getting down to the nitty-gritty. Now let's take a look at what abilities are available to us to roast our opponents on the field. Revenge is also served cold, I suppose, as well as we know. I just said that Twitterpon here, you know how it is. But let's start with the different attack options of our Pokemon. As a base for our fight, we use the base attack. I know, very creative. I hope you have already applied my tip from the beginning, because from here on I will focus on this control option and use it in my explanations. With the help of B for wild and A for enemy Pokemon, we can execute our base auto attack. After mostly 2, sometimes 3 or more attacks, the next executed base attack is boosted and becomes a boosted attack, which mostly brings additional bonuses into the ring. These can be, for example, additional AoE, area of effect, dot, damage over time, or any other kind of damage or heal that supports us in the battle. Huh? You wondering where the little bars under my life meter come from? In the settings section, we will look at every detail to set everything up so that you have all the info right at your fingertips to fight effectively. This base attack can be strengthened, accelerated, etc. with the help of different items and is differentiated into normal attack and special attack damage. This info is important for the further choice of the held items. And also here patience. There is a detailed section alone for it in this video. The only problem? Currently we are not shown which attack causes what kind of damage. But you can find an exact list on the internet or in the soon-to-follow guides to the individual Pokemon. Man, if only I had all this info myself at the beginning. You know what? This is a good point for the question of the day. What is your favorite Pokemon in Pokemon Unite, or which one would you like to see? Post it in the comments and let me know. But now back to the attacks. Besides the base attack, you have 2 ability slots, which you can fill up by leveling up your Pokemon and execute them with R and ZR. Assuming you have the standard controls. Depending on the settings, the attacks automatically snap to a target, or you can aim freely with the right analog stick, and thus plan more precisely where your move should land. This makes sense, especially if you anticipate the path of an enemy Pokemon and directly aim a little ahead. But the option with the stick you also have with the automatic snapping. Simply move the stick with the move button selected and you can aim. There are a few other things to note about the attacks. At the beginning, you have the choice between 2 attacks. As soon as you have chosen the first one, you get the unselected attack as the next unlock. From here on it gets exciting. As soon as you level up further, these attacks can be replaced by different, mostly stronger ones, and you will have 2 options at the first choice. But attention! If you have chosen one of the 2, you are bound to it until the end of the fight, and can no longer select the other option. Because for the other slot, again, 2 other attacks with the same conditions are available. Just before the max level, you get so-called plus variants of the attacks that bring a small improvement or additional effect for the already selected move with it to get in the late game, once again, everything out of your Pokemon. The last attack is the powerful Unite move. This attack is often called Ultimate and has to be recharged by defeating Pokemon or collecting and scoring points. Once you reach 100%, you can use the powerful attack and often turn around a seemingly lost teamfight. There are even items that will be boosted as soon as you use your Unite move. But watch out, your opponents also have these moves and I'm sure they are not afraid to use them in their own favor. The last section of this chapter is not about attacking or moving your Pokemon, but it is an essential skill for long-term success in the game: communication. By pressing up on the D-pad, you can select the communication menu with ready-made messages. Using the right analog stick, select the appropriate message and your teammates will see a ping on the minimap with an additional message in the middle of the screen. This can help immensely to warn your team of danger or encourage them to support you in a tactical maneuver. In addition to the message option, you can also press minus to bring up the minimap and then use the right analog stick to select a spot on the map where you can press A to send a context-based ping. This means, for example, that a message will be played out to your colleagues if you're pinged on the spot of an enemy Pokemon. And finally, there is the option of a voice chat in-game. You can activate this in the settings menu, and if you have a headset with microphone plugged in, you can use it. But here I must say that I have not used this option myself yet, so have much fun trying it out for yourself. You see, some moves are necessary for effective fighting, and that will help you gain the upper hand over your opponents. And now that we know how to attack and move, let's take a look at the main mode 5 vs 5 and how it works and what we need to watch out for in order to win. The victory conditions are very simple. The team with the most points wins and takes home the victory. But how do you get these points? And for you as an info, I will mainly refer to the standard and ranked modes respectively, as these are the ones that are most played and currently have the most relevance for ranked leaderboards. As soon as the match starts, your whole team will start in your base and you should split up into the 3 different paths that are available to you. In MOBAs, these are called lanes, and in the case of Pokemon Unite, there is a top, mid and bottom lane, with the middle lane often referred to as the jungle, since there are some wild Pokemon here that are perfect fodder for a speedster, for example. The goals are found here only on the top and bottom lane, and one directly in front of the base. In the movement section, we already talked about the fact that you get a speed boost if the next goal on your side is still standing. Pokemon Unite is all about collecting points in battle, and then scoring them in these goals, because that's the only way they count towards the final score. Each goal has a certain number of, let's call it life points, before it is destroyed and disappears from the scene. The 2 outer goals have 80 points each and the next 2 have 100 life points. The goal in front of the base cannot be destroyed. That means points can always be scored there, provided that the goals on at least one lane in front of it have been destroyed or the Zapdos bonus is active for their own team. More about the boss as follows. At the beginning, you can keep a maximum of 30 points with your Pokemon, and every additional point that would belong to you by defeating a wild Pokemon in the last hit lands as a ball on the battlefield. Just like getting the majority of experience points, scoring points is all about the last hit on the Pokemon, as the player who lands it is rewarded with the most experience in addition to the score. Once you reach level 9 with the Pokemon, the value you can carry increases to 40, and from level 12 upwards it's a whole 50 points. In addition to defeating wild Pokemon, you can also steal points from your opponents. All you have to do is defeat them and pick up the orbs they drop. However, the opponent does not lose his entire amount. It usually depends on the current number of points carried. The real burner comes after 8 minutes. In the last 120 seconds, you can collect double points for goals. That's right, with a well-planned move, you can score a whole 100 points at once for your team, and if you manage to score such a large sum, it will be accompanied by a classic "what a goal!" Unfortunately, even if an opponent manages it, just to keep it in the back of your mind. One section is completely related to a whole gameplay. Here I will also go into further strategies regarding scoring. I know the whole thing is a bit spread out, but it's also the ultimate guide, with everything worth knowing. To bring the whole thing in a structure in a video is not as easy as you might think, but I'm trying my best. And that's why we're going to continue with the rules. We are not going to talk about when it's best to score, but let's take a look at the effects. The more points you carry with you, the longer you need to score. Them. With a maximum number of 50, this can take a few seconds. A long time if you consider the total length of the match of 10 minutes and the possibilities to move quickly. But you can do it faster if you stand together with a teammate on the mat and score together. Then the whole thing runs much faster. If you can score without being interrupted by a hit, this is important, otherwise the scoring will be stopped. You're invulnerable for the moment of the animation. Many people don't know this yet, so it can happen that opponents use the strong moves and you don't mind them, which leads to the fact that in the ideal case, the goal is destroyed and you can snatch the defenseless opponents away. If your team is insta-scoring by using Rotom on the one special goal or Zapdos on all goals for a certain time, you just have to get there and spam X. Then you score the points with the previously mentioned advantages instantaneously. The combination in the last 2 minutes, and you know why it can make sense to defeat Zapdos. While we're on the subject of the 2 mates, here are a few more details. Let's start with Rotom. This one spawns for the first time from minute 3 in the top lane and gives the team support with the last hit in the form of an almost unstoppable advance to the next enemy goal in the lane. Okay, almost unstoppable is light, you can defeat him, but it sounds more dramatic that way. But if Rotom is not defeated by the opponents, it scores 20 points in the goal and enables insta-scoring for a few seconds, which brings the previously mentioned effects. In addition, the player with the last hit also gets 20 extra points, which he can then score with pleasure. Neat. Zapdos works similarly, only it's tougher, brings 30 points and activates insta-scoring on all other goals. Since it spawns only in the last 2 minutes, and since double points is also activated, you know what combination that could be. Finally, some more info on scoring. You will always get 10% boost for your Unite move and a flat amount of HP back per goal, no matter what amount points you score. This means you can also tactically score small amounts and get a game advantage out of it. The only thing you have to watch out for here, the last minutes of the game can be crucial. So you have to make sure you don't unintentionally destroy a goal with only 5 points when a teammate could score a whole 50. One mechanic I left out: even if you score more points than the goal has health, all points will still be counted, so you can score points tactically on an early goal and make it easier without having to penetrate far into the opponent's territory. Last but not least, a tip and a warning. As soon as you have 40 points or more in your inventory, you will be displayed on the minimap with that amount. So you are an interesting target for the opponents, who will of course try with all means to avoid such a high score. So, caution is advised. As mentioned at the beginning, the team with the most points wins, and at the end there is a statistic where your game performance is evaluated and the so-called MVP, the most valuable player, is chosen. So, make an effort, because good performance brings a lot of points and also some missions built on this result. You're probably asking yourself, so, are we ready yet? Can we finally get out on the field? Yes, well, almost. By that I mean no, because there's one important chapter I'd like to go over before we jump into the fray: the right settings. Yes, also here there are some things to consider to make your way as easy as possible to reach the master rank. Let's have a look at the options now. In the system settings, there is hardly anything important, except for the first point, the frame rate. Make sure that you have selected high, so you have the smoothest gaming experience. All other points can be freely adjusted to your liking. Now we come to the big chunk here, the controls. You have to know, Pokémon Unite is a game that is released for the Switch, and in the fall for iOS and Android as well, so the player base will be young or new to games in addition to the more experienced players. For this reason, many settings are pre-selected to be used well by a casual player base. But not with us. We know what we want, and I'll show you which settings will help you. One last note: of course it's possible that some items have already been set. If that's the case, I'm proud of you. We will now go through the points list-like to quickly and efficiently discuss all points. Let's start. Opponent lock-on priority. Here you should select option 2, lowest remaining HP value. There doesn't seem to be much difference between percent and value. They are both the ones with the least. But as an example, a Snorlax may have eaten the most damage percentage-wise, depending on its pool of health, but still have more HP compared to a squishy speedster, since everything depends relatively on the total amount of HP. With the second setting, you ideally snag on enemies that really have little HP left in total. Attack control. Our quick tip from the beginning, briefly touched on again here. By splitting the attacks between A and B, you can target the right enemies and strategize better. A must-have setting, even if it might take a little getting used to at the beginning. Automatic basic attacks. These settings should be turned off, so you can time when you want to attack a Pokémon better to land the last hit. Boosted attack gauge. This option should be turned on, so you get the indicator I mentioned at the beginning, and you always give an overview of which attack you are in your rotation before a boosted attack with additional abilities is used. Lock on icon. Also an option with a recommendation from my side. This gives you a selection wheel in the right part of the screen, where you can select and focus on a visible enemy with the right analog stick. This helps you in the heat of the moment to always hit the enemy you want to hit with your moves. In motion pursuit mode. Switch this option to off. If this is not the case, you will track the current Pokémon you are targeting when you press the attack button when it gets out of range, which can lead to unplanned maneuvers that cost you victory in battle. Scoring controls. The controls in Pokémon Unite are mostly good and snappy, and take your command as well. But I am a fan of the press button option, so you only have to press X once to initiate the scoring process. Camera follows moves. Answer me a question, is it better to see more or less? Again, it depends on the circumstances, but when it comes to your moves, especially those that have a decent range, a larger field of view makes perfect sense. With this option, the camera jumps to the end of the move before you've used it, so you can get more of the field in your face and better time your attacks. Move aim follows movement direction. We want to keep control of our moves, so we attack without lock on, using the right analog stick. And with this option set to off, we want to prevent the attack from being executed in the direction of the current movement of our Pokémon. Move aim snaps to nearby targets. This option allows us to control whether or not an attack should snap to an enemy before we use it. Honestly, it depends on you. I myself disabled this option to have more control over my gameplay. But if you want a little protection with the small risk factor that the moves might go in the wrong direction and you still want to control with the right stick, then yes, this is also a valuable option. Camera sensitivity options, all max. Why? Because we have limited time and it can be important that even on the minimap, if we want to pass certain events to our teammates, we have to save every second. Aim assist, again, Our goal is to reach the master ranks. That's why I can only recommend you to set aim assist to off. This way we make sure that no support interferes and possibly destroys a big brain master move because the thought creeps into the game that we are about to make a mistake. This may be nice for the beginning, but in the long run you're definitely better off turning this option off. The other settings are again a matter of taste. One change I made is a little remapping of the buttons. In my case I moved move 1 from R to ZL and the Unite move to R. So I have both of my moves on the back shoulder buttons and the Unite move is nice and easy to reach with my main hand, in this case the right one. Feel free to experiment here and try to find options that best support your playstyle, but the default settings are by no means options that wouldn't be applicable. As I said, personal taste. How long can you just talk about settings as a Pokemon MOBA, right? I'm thinking the same thing as I look at the 10 pages of script so far. But this is all for you and for you to experience great success in Pokemon Unite. And for me to know that I've been able to show some new players the way without having to leave the ranked lobbies in anger because some don't understand how to play the game. But hey, you are not mad by this, otherwise you wouldn't be here, right? One last point. Yes, I promise. This is the last point and then we'll look at a match from start to finish and then look at what needs to be considered to ideally walk away from the field successful. One important part is still missing to enter the battle completely strengthened. The choice of our items. There are two categories. One's the item that you can activate in battle and which gives you an active bonus, and the health items, which give you passive attributes and extra bonuses. These are also the ones that can be leveled outside of combat with so-called item enhancers. But more on that and the possible, somehow unpopular topic associated with it with the community later in the video. Let's take a look at the first category of item first, and currently it's quite simple to answer what you should use. Here you simply select the eject button. Sure, at first glance there seem to be other interesting options such as the potion or X-speed that give you either a little more survivability or speed. But there's nothing like an insta-port, even if it's only a short distance, that can port you into your save goal or out of a hectic fight in dicey situations. Currently, I have a hard time recommending you another option. Let's see what the future holds for us. The health items will be much more exciting. Exact build ideas and which items are useful for which Pokemon or which bonuses they bring. All these points we will look at in dedicated guides. But now let's look at the general functionality in detail. In principle, you can either unlock the items as a reward or you can buy them in one of the stores for EOS coins or gems. It should be said that the items are very cheap with 1000 coins per piece. It's getting expensive when it comes to upgrading. You heard right, unlike many other MOBAs on the market where you can buy items for coins earned in the match and thus unlock bonuses in there, in Pokemon Unite this happens in advance. There are different variants which strengthen your attack, those that increase your special defense or simply variants that grant you more HP. With the so-called item enhancers, you can level them up to level 30 and per level the main bonuses are strengthened. Almost every item also brings an additional bonus that is sometimes greatly improved at level 10 and again at level 20. At the beginning the leveling goes quite well, but the last levels need a considerable amount of enhancers to bring them one level further. This is also where the unpopular community issue comes into play. You can buy enhancers using EOS tickets, and when we round out of tickets, we can buy some for gems. This gives you a double conversion from money to in-game currency, and you can use it to buy the passive bonuses without having played a match. Pay to win is the keyword here, but regardless of that, I want to give you one thing. At level 10, you get the items relatively easy, so you can already raise the bigger bonus by one level and get some more passive bonuses on top. Try to level up 3 items according to your wishes, and you will see that you will keep up with the other players. Don't worry. I'm not sponsored by Tencent or anyone else. I'm just a fan of MOBAs and Pokemon in general, so I encourage you to try the game and form your own opinion and don't get down because somebody said that it's pay to win. It may be in this case, but let the fun decide. The moment you all have been waiting for. Finally we've reached a point. Now we're going to look at a match in detail. And I'm going to give you all my knowledge so that you can also get more successes or a good start in the game. In this kind of game, the phases are always divided as follows. The early, mid and late game. There is no division into these phases by the game itself, and therefore no time from when to when the respective phase lasts. But due to the respective game mechanics and such, I tried to find my own system and to integrate the respective points there well. Exactly for this reason we start with the pre-game. Excuse me? What's the pre-game? Well, the first important phase before the game even starts, my friends. That's the time in the lobby where you choose your Pokemon. Equip them with the respective items and tell your fellow players on which lane you will fight. Especially in standard matches or at the beginning of ranked matches. It will often happen that players don't use these functions to the full extent. However, This should not stop us from making use of them right from the start and learning tactical play right away. At the beginning, you should check your own team constellation. And here comes the first point where some of you might not agree with me completely. It might happen that people insta-lock certain Pokemon directly. That means without taking a closer look at the other teammates, selecting a Pokemon completely and locking it in. You can see this when a small orange tick is displayed next to the player. It can happen that two players, for example, insta-lock a jungler, and both absolutely want to go to the jungle. Unfortunately, we can't prevent this in the game itself. But what we can do is to adapt to the situation. Do we need a defender? Or does it make more sense to support the team with an all-rounder? If you take this to heart from the beginning, you increase your chances of winning immensely, even if you sometimes have to play a Pokemon that you just didn't want to use. But here I come to the point I mentioned before. Just because there is, for example, no defender, you don't have to play one directly. Some all-rounders can also show certain defensive attributes, and there are also speedsters that can't feel comfortable fighting on the lane. It's still a game. Try to support your team as much as possible, but don't feel forced to always play a role you don't always want to play. Of course, the higher you climb in ranks, the more important the correct team constellation will become. For the beginning, you can try out different Pokemon, but later on, I definitely recommend you playing the role you need to have the best team constellation available. After the roles, we come to battle preparation, and to get to the respective menu, you have to press ZL in the Pokemon select screen. Here you can review your moveset, select your items, set the active item, and also call your lane. Especially the last one is only done in higher and higher ranks, which is a pity, because it allows you to act more tactically from the beginning, despite the somewhat limited communication options in Pokemon Unite. Ideally, 2 Pokemon choose the top, 1 the jungle, that is the mid lane, and the last 2 the bottom lane. In this menu you will also be shown a recommendation of the game, but it's already in the name. Just a recommendation, and the final decision should be made based on the first point. The last interesting point in the section is the communication options. As in the game itself, you can send certain predefined messages to your teammates in the lobby. In this case with minus. As soon as you call a lane, a message is automatically sent via the same way, but here you can once again get started with motivational spells to bring out the full power of your team, or something like that. After we have selected everything and landed in the game, we get down to business. After a countdown, we learn our first move, head towards our lane and fight the first Apam. And here there is already the first little thing to consider. If you're a jungler, leave the Apam alone. That's right, you have the whole jungle to yourself, and that's more than enough experience points to reach a good level. And you, hey, yeah you, the one who wants to get to the top lane. You don't need a detour in the jungle, you have your Pokemon on the lane and you stick to them, is that clear? Very good. After the step is cleared, it's time to level up and gain experience. Depending on your role, you should also pay attention to who ideally gets the last hits. Sure, the one with the last hit gets a bit more experience and the points. But if you're a supporter and have, for example, a Garchomp on your lane, you should try to give it more last hits. The whole thing has the background that you should of course level the same, but an all-rounder or attacker in the early phase with a lot of experience can give your lane a certain additional advantage. Later on, the bonus won't be quite as important, as there will be other sources of experience such as goals, defeating enemy Pokemon, or bosses like Dreadnought and Zapdos. After defeating the first Pokemon on your lane, you will find yourself in the middle of it, and as the nature of Pokemon Unite would have it, together with the opposing teammates. And here's another tip that will save you a lot of trouble from the start and help you play better. Don't rush into lost battles. Just because the opponent has only a few health points left doesn't mean that you automatically have to run into his goal area to defeat him at all costs. Especially in the early game, the respawns are very short, and due to the lack of power, you can't resist the healing of the goals, and in the worst case, you will be stomped by the opponent's partner. It also pays to have patience. Once you were able to push the opponents back, use the time to farm more wild Pokemon to get stronger and learn your new moves. In the worst case, you are briefly absent from the lane due to a pointless loss, and the opponent was able to stuff themselves with experience and maybe even snack on your Pokemon. But what to do when you are in trouble? Not only do the enemy goals heal the enemy team, but your goal areas have the same effect on you. The outer goal, that is the one further back, heals you 200 points per tick. Especially in the beginning, this is a very high sum and can save your butt, even if you're pressed by 2 opponents. The next goal heals you by 400 points, adjusted to the fact that the fight usually takes place later there and both you and the opponents have become stronger. You get the biggest heal in base. By pressing down on the D-pad, you teleport there after a short casting time. and are fully healed again instantly. From minute 5, you have the super jumps available to quickly get back into the action, but also otherwise you have a small speed boost when leaving base. So it can also be useful to use this move early in the game, because this is much wiser than to die and feed the opponent, so serving experience and points so that he can become stronger. But let's come back to the other goal. Here 2 citrus berries spawn again and again in intervals of 45 seconds. These heal you by 1500 health points and can be real lifesavers in dangerous situations. Of course, the opponents have this option as well. Here you should also decide carefully. If your lane partner also has low health points, you should not snatch both away from him in front of the nose, but share. Logically, 2 Pokemon are better than 1. And here's the last tip: if you push your opponents into his goal zone, you can also eat his berries. Sure, for a short moment you are slowed, but you steal the tactical possibility to get back on their feet. Another option to survive longer is to make a goal. You heal a certain amount of health with each goal, regardless of the number of points. So even if you only have 1 point, you can get all the effects like the healing, the ultimate charge, and also item bonuses that are tied to scoring. Besides survival, offense is also an important point, especially in the early game. Therefore, try to steal your opponent's last hits from the Pokemon, because this way you get the experience and score points and leave your opponent empty-handed. The whole thing also works with the boss Pokemon Rotom, Dreadnought and Zapdos. For example, if you play Venusaur with Solar Beam, you can, if you're tactically smart, make the boss count for you with a targeted attack just before Zapdos is defeated, giving you a significant tactical advantage that could definitely still tip the game or cement your victory once again. It's just as important to prevent your opponent's Pokemon from scoring points, because the advantages you enjoy here can be used by them as well. Even if you have to defend a lane alone, try to make your teammates aware of it and try to prevent your opponents from scoring the small attacks. If you remember, any damage will end the scoring process. Unless Insta-Score is activated, then the points will be scored willy-nilly. We are on a good way. We and our mates have a good level, we get most of the wild Pokemon, and we have already made one or the other goal, or maybe already destroyed a zone of the opponents. From minute 3, the first boss Pokemon come into play, Rotom and Dreadnought. Both bring their advantages, with the latter currently having a bigger impact on your match than the former. Let me explain briefly. Rotom we have already gone over in more detail in the scoring section. A player from the team with the last hit gets 20 points for it, and it marches towards the nearest opponent's goal. It can be defeated, but if this fails, 20 points are deducted from the next goal and you have a certain time to collect insta-scores. Sounds quite good, and it definitely is. But why I prefer the advantages of Dreadnought, there is the following reason. As soon as your team defeats Dreadnought, the whole team, regardless of whether they were in the fight or not, gets a good amount of extra experience and for a short time a shield that can deflect an attack. This way you can extend your lead over the enemy or catch up, depending on the situation, and have an extra layer of defense with you to dare the next advance. In an ideal world, you'll grab both, because better you than the other. But if there was a choice between the two, I'd focus on the bottom lane with Dreadnought first. Besides the first boss Pokemon, of course you and all the other Pokemon on the field have already become stronger, and the matches are getting more exciting as most of them have already unlocked the entire moveset, and the first ones will already have the Unite moves coming soon. For this reason, it's important to try to tactically disable opposing Pokemon and thus advance your push. It makes sense to get your jungler in a 2 vs 2 or 2 vs 1, so you can turn it into a 3 vs 2 or 2 vs 2, and then take your opponents by surprise. The respawn times will be longer, and you will already have a larger number of points with you. You should try to secure these as quickly as possible after victory. If the time is already advanced and the timer soon announces the last 2 minutes, it can be tempting to keep the points to get double points. But I would be careful here. Points that seem safe at the beginning because the opponents have been cleared from the lane can be lost if the others catch themselves faster than planned and surprise you. Then you haven't scored any points and the opponents enjoy your points and may start a counter-attack right away. In worst case, we are already in the last 2 minutes and they scored twice. In this phase, I would also advise you not to act hastily and keep trying to wait for certain situations and defeat the respective opponents together with your mates, without risking unnecessary deaths. At a certain point, the moves of the Pokemon are at a certain level where the healing of the goals no longer protects you, and you can be overwhelmed by 1 to 2 opponents on the goal zone with ease. Here it makes sense to give the opponents a little space, to port back into the base, to come back fully healed together with reinforcements to counterattack. It's time. It's getting dark in Remote Stadium, Zapdos wakes up in the middle of the map, and in the last 2 minutes there's double points for everyone. The big yellow banner in the middle appears with the words "Our team has a huge lead." What could go wrong? Quite a bit, my friends, and let's take a look at it now. First, All white Pokemon give more points, and if there's an evolution for them, they evolve as well. A nice little detail. This will give you a chance to score some serious points in the last few minutes, making perfect use of the double score period. And now we come to the linchpin of the late game, Zapdos itself. As we already know, the team that killed Zapdos with the last hit not only gets a lot of points, but also all the opponent's goals become insta-scores, and there you can score the 100-point goals. But, and this is the point, many believe you have to attack Zapdos directly and also risk a team fight on the spot to get the kill. But we've already learned, the last hit can also be stolen. So if you don't pay attention and jump right into the fray, even though we had such a big lead, we may lose it with the loss of Zapdos and the opponents may make a gigantic comeback, which may end in defeat for us. For this reason, we should be tactical here as well. When we are in the lead, our goal must be to control the mid area and not give the opponents a chance to take the Zapdos bonus. They will try it in most cases, and through clever positioning and combined team power, we can keep them at bay. Ideally, we push them back with a complete team wipe. We can already take Zapdos, but otherwise we also have the possibility to block the opponents in base and then decide depending on the situation which move would make more sense. That was now the one side of the coin, with the condition that we are in the lead. If we are lagging behind, the situation looks a bit different. Here we have to try to break through the opponent's defense and either drive the opponents out of the center for a fight against Zapdos, or, which of course can be a particularly great moment, we snag on it with a sneaky range attack. Either way, we now have a short corridor in which we have to worry about getting the points into the goal. If the outer goals are still standing, we should march directly there and score the points. If not, we'll still have the base of the opponent. But be careful. Don't act too hastily. We have a lot of points and can't score them immediately at the goal, but we are not invincible. After scoring, you should immediately return and defend the very own goals for the last few minutes or seconds, so that the enemy can't strike back with a heavy counter. And that's why on both sides Zapdos win doesn't necessarily mean that the match is in our pocket. But one thing is clear. We should not miss, or in the other case, of course, block this huge bonus if possible. A whole Pokemon Unite match broken down with all the tips and tricks, strategies and things to consider. Combined with the previous topics of the respective Pokemon and their roles, the right items and the general game rules on each map, especially in standard and ranked mode. Whoa! Neat things to offer here. If you see this too and have looked this far, first a huge thank you. This is going to be a mega big video, and I'm glad I can pass something on to you. And secondly, a subscription and even more a like would help me, as we can show YouTube where the ultimate guide for Pokemon Unite is hidden. We're almost at the end, but since I promised to present all aspects of the game and go into it, we now take a look at the currencies and the stores. So, let's go. Pokemon Unite is a free-to-play game. What does that mean for us players? There are possibilities to buy different items with real money, of course, which on the one hand bring a visual change and on the other hand support us when it comes to upgrading the health items. But let's start from the beginning. Which currencies are available in Pokemon Unite? Basically, we have EOS coins, EOS tickets and EOS gems at our disposal. There are also holoware and fashion tickets, but these have a specific purpose, and we'll go into them later. Let's start with the coins. We get coins mainly through missions and events, as well as rewards in the Battle Pass. Regardless of whether we use the free or paid variant, here the rewards differ mainly in the amount to be obtained. In total, we can collect 2,100 coins per week. Here the question might arise. Why? As we know, we can buy Pokemon Unite licenses using the coins, and these range from 6,000 for the cheapest to currently 10,000 coins for the most expensive Pokemon. Tencent, of course, due to the free entry, is trying to make money in other ways. If we now assume that we have no coins and can collect a maximum of 2,100 per week, we cap at 8,400 coins per month. Currently, we have received a new addition in the form of Gardevoir at a cost of 8,000 coins. We also know that Blastoise will soon follow as a defender, but the price is still unknown. According to our calculation, we can afford Gardevoir, but we will definitely have too few coins to buy the second new edition. My guess is that about 2 Pokemon will be released per month. So the incentive to spend real money to get all Pokemon will be bigger. Of course, we are not forced to go this way, but if you want to unlock all new Pokemon, and also the currently available ones, you will not get around it. Items can also be bought for coins, whereby the basic variants with 1000 coins per piece are within limits, but must be upgraded with the item enhancers. More about that in a moment. Especially at the beginning, there are a few possibilities to get a lot of coins. If you go to practice in the menu and select tutorials, you'll see that there are a few more missions. After completing the simple tutorials, you'll get several hundred to 1,000 coins in your hand. Nice touch. In addition, there is a small hidden number of 20 coins to be won with the help of the Fair Play bonus. What? You don't know what that is? No wonder, these coins are also super hidden. To get them every day, you need to have a good fair play rating, no AFK times or exits from games, and then you need to go to the trainer profile with R to get them. After the coins, we come to the tickets. Similarly to the coins, you can get them in the Battle Pass for missions and events. You can spend these tickets for fashion items for your trainer or the already mentioned item enhancers, which brings me to the topic of gems. Pokemon Unite uses double conversion in certain areas where you can indirectly buy improvements for items, for example. How does this work? As soon as you try to buy the enhancers in the AU's Emporium and your tickets are not enough, the game will tell you that you can buy 10 tickets for a gem. These cost, as already mentioned, real money and can be bought in amounts from just $1 up to more than $100. For me it's Euro because I play in the European area. So it can happen that you lose track of your expenses. Just a little hint so that you don't get a nasty surprise at the eShop billing in your buying frenzy. Otherwise you can de facto buy everything else for gems instead of the other currencies. Whether it's skins, Unite licenses, boosters or fashion items. Here I let you decide if it's worth the price. In my opinion, the enhancers pay off the most, although you would have to spend just under $35 to raise an item to level 30. Yes, one single item to level 30. But since there are already a lot of videos, I don't want to go into it, and like I said, to get them to level 10 or slightly above is possible through playing the game, and you will get at least a few of the stat bonuses. What I also want to show you are the fashion and holoware tickets and the energy points. The first two are used to buy certain items and skins in the EOS Emporium or the Circle Trading Shop. You can either get them from duplicates of already existing items in your inventory after you have brought your battle pass to level 90, you can get them also in the following prize boxes. Again, it's up to you to decide what you want and whether it makes sense for you to hunt for the tickets on your farm. Energy points, on the other hand, you get after finishing a match, and you can increase the number with the help of boosters that you can buy again for gems. But even here there is a limit. Without additional tanks, and unfortunately they always cost real money, without an alternative, you can collect a maximum of 1400 energy per week through matches. The amount depends on your performance and the result of the match. You can then use this energy for a kind of slot machine where you can get luck-based certain items and with a very small probability also epic skins for your Pokemon. You need 100 energy to try one drop. So let the luck begin. Unfortunately, there is also the issue with duplicates. If you get a fashion item or skin a second time, you will be rewarded with fashion or holoware tickets respectively. One last thing I'd like to talk about with the currencies is the Battle Pass points and the Battle Pass itself. As with many games these days, you can collect levels in the pass in certain ways to unlock more rewards. Here, this works with the help of daily, weekly and seasonal missions, each of which grants a different number of Battle Pass points. For every 100 points you earn, you'll advance one level, and depending on whether you paid for it, with the premium pass costing the equivalent of $10 or not, you'll get a reward per level or multiple levels. There is also the option to buy an extended version where you will advance 10 levels automatically. The timing itself wouldn't matter, since you always need 100 points to level up. But according to current calculations, you should be able to do it easily in one season, and you can even skip the daily missions for several days. On the whole, quite a pleasant thing. The pass itself goes up to level 90. After that, you can unlock a prize box containing additional items for every 100 additional points, including the previously mentioned fashion and holoware tickets. Now the only question is where to spend all the points, coins, tickets and gems. And like I said before a few times, there are 3 different stores in Pokemon Unite: the Unite Battle Comité, the EOS Emporium and the Circle Trading. In the first store you can buy Unite licenses for your Pokemon, in the second one you can buy health items, fashion for your trainer and different boosts and enhancers, and the Circle Trading is for exchanging holoware tickets for skins for Pokemon, or buying them with gems. Well, free to play remains free to play somewhere. Whoa. I'm looking at the word count on the script right now and I see almost 11,000 words. We've come to the end and gone over everything imaginable in detail about Pokemon Unite. Whether it's the Pokemon themselves, the rules of the game, or any other aspect that comes with the MOBA. Of course, I'm aware of one thing. I'm sure opinions will differ, and I'm sure 1 or 2 of you will have additions to the ultimate guide video. And you know what? Bring it on! My goal is to connect the Pokemon Unite community and help us on our way to becoming masters together. If you have points, then post them into the comments. If there are questions and I haven't answered them yet, hit the keys and let's help together as a community. I really hope that the video helped you and that you had fun with it. So to learn about Pokemon Unite, what there is currently worth knowing about it. One thing should definitely not fall by the wayside at this point. It is and remains a game. Exactly for these reasons I can only suggest download the game if you don't have it already, log in and have fun. And if I was able to help you with the video, or if you just had a nice evening with all kinds of exciting things about Pokemon Unite, please consider subscribing and liking. I will continue to bring you more content in the future and will certainly publish shorter videos about the individual Pokemon and the builds and strategies. A like and subscription from you help to let the channel grow, and maybe you are the reason why someone has learned something new about the game and thus gains the joy of the game itself. After so many words, there's really not much left to say except thank you, have fun, my name is Kay, and see you soon.